jam your phone into your back pocket with a grunt of annoyance and train your gun back on the Evelyn. It's still laying there, lifeless, mocking you, but at least it's not trying to strangle you. You take a look around the room. The walls, floor, and ceiling all seem to be made of some kind of pulsing meat covered in ulcerous sores. Around you hear a subtle throb at the edge of hearing. The track of the tunnel of love remains, and now there's a swan car resting on the tracks. Carefully, you leave the lifeless doll of Evelyn alone, casting a last suspicious glance before you take a look at the swan. It's a very cute and romantic look to it. It gives you a wistful feeling in the pit of your stomach. It looks like someone left something on the seat. You lean in and snatch the items up from the seat, holding them up to get the best look that you can. One of them appears to be a small makeup mirror with a powder puff for blush. You notice the mirror part is quite smudged and dim. It's impossible to see a reflection the way it is right now. The other item is a cloth handkerchief with a lipstick smudge on one side. You sneer at the handkerchief and shake it out. As you do, something tumbles from its folds. You grab the papers that fell out of the handkerchief. It looks like a note and a photograph, but the photo is just as smudged as the mirror. You guess you'll look at that in a minute. You hold up the mirror and wipe it off. A pair of green eyes stares back at you as you clean it. There is something very wrong with your reflection. Your reaction is instinctive and instant. You hurl the mirror away from you in shock and horror at the offending image. You pick up the note, hoping that it has some kind of explanation, but it only leaves you with more questions. Around, around, around. How many times have we gone on this ride? How many times until you do it? Grant my wish to... Now that you're here, I don't feel so lonely. The pain and the anger, they fade away a bit too. Maybe we could pretend like this forever. Maybe someday you'll grant my wish, and we'll... All of these things confuse you. It's infuriating. You take the picture and wipe it off as much as you can with the handkerchief, hoping maybe it will make sense. It's another picture of your Uncle James and that woman. They're here, in the Tunnel of Love. He was here! How long ago were these taken? Is he still here? You feel your heart leap to your throat. You turn the picture over to look at the back, but it's bare. No more clues there. She could have had the decency to write the date like normal people. For good measure, you look over your shoulder to see if the Evelyn has moved. It's still lying there, lifeless. It's more than a little creepy. It isn't really Evelyn, is it? Maybe riding the swan would be a better idea than traveling down the dark tunnel on foot. You hop in and sit on the grungy pink cushion. Now you just need to get it to move. It dawns on you that you can't possibly go on the Tunnel of Love ride by yourself. That means the twisted logic of this place. You hop down off the ride, scoop up the lifeless doll body of the Evelyn in your arms. It's surprisingly light, and you carry it to the swan. Of course, your only date for the Tunnel of Love is a doll. Why would it be any different? You seethe, feeling an acute sting of heartbreak as you sit beside the thing. You hear a click as you both sit there, but the ride does not yet start. Well, there was a lever. It's weird to control the Tunnel of Love. Then again, isn't this usually a boat ride? Nothing is normal in this place, is it? You shut the door heavily, testing to make certain it's well and truly latched. Then you grab the knob of the lever and push it forward. The swan cart lurches and begins to move towards the darkness through the throbbing, pulsing, wet tunnel. It seems that you can stop and start the car with a lever. You pass from the dim, pinkish light into the darkness of the deeper tunnel, and you get your gun and put your arm around the Evelyn, just to make sure it doesn't move. Of course, you're certainly not clinging to it out of fear. You hear the click of the tracks beneath you and the dull throb of the pulsing walls. You feel the humid air pass over your face. Is the cart starting to move faster now? You brace yourself, trying to get ready for anything. Monsters, sudden roller coaster drops, giant falling blades. But it's not a blade that suddenly drops from the ceiling along with a sudden flash of light. It's some kind of marionette, holding one of those Cupid dolls. The thing lurches and swings on its loose string. You follow your first instinct, which is to yell loudly and duck down into the swan, protecting your head and clutching the ever close. The thing swings above you before it jerks up into the lights, vanishing. Ahead of you, you see another tableau with marionettes. This one doesn't have a cute baby doll. It's hard to tell a distance. Might be a child doll? The swan keeps rolling forward as it clicks on the tracks, jolting and bouncing you in your seat. You keep your head down, your fingers clenched around the gun as the swan speeds through the tunnel. Distant lights get closer and you feel the wind heavy on your face. You practically whiz by the doll and the child, only for the next scene to drop down into place. The doll distracted by some female doll, the smaller one left out in the shadows. It only has a moment to catch your eye as your radio starts to spit and spew hissing, desperate static. The light for the next scene flickers on and off with a nasty buzz. There's another sound, a scraping, thumping sound, like someone torturing an old VCR, or the sound of something heavy dragging on the floor. The ride gets faster as you head for the flickering light. Something about the shrieking of the radio static, the speed of the ride, strange tableau underneath the flickering light stabs your subconscious into just the right way to trigger a fight or flight response. A clamor of desperation in the back of your mind floods you with adrenaline. You have little choice but to obey your first animal instinct. Without a second thought, you leap from the seat and leap out on the side. You have a long, long time to regret your decision as you fall deeper and deeper into the black abyss beyond the tracks, the wind rushing up around you. You're barely conscious when you reach the bottom, and something wet, squishy, and wriggling cools you, expanding over your flesh. You're not conscious for long after that. Game over. Please keep all arms, legs, weapons, and mannequins inside the cart until it has come to a complete stop. Thank you. Reload. Something about the shrieking of the radio static, the speed of the ride, and the strange tableau underneath the flickering light stabs your subconscious in just the right way to trigger a fight or flight response. A clamor of desperation in the back of your mind floods you with adrenaline. You're about to leap out of the cart when you remember the lever in front of you. You should be able to stop its motion. You dart forward, grabbing the lever tightly in both hands, and throw it back in a panic. The cart suddenly, painfully slams to a halt, jolting you forward. In the abject blackness of the stopped ride, you fumble in your pockets for your trusty flashlight. You thank every saint in the book that you still have it. It brings you some comfort when you switch it on, but less when you see just how little it illuminates in the dark chasm. The static on your radio continues to blare. You feel as if you're being watched.